Hello, every pony. As you can see, I have shirked my G5 reviewing duties because I am tired of it and G5 is dead to me. Instead, I'm going to talk about something completely different. Did you know that I am an identical twin? From my perspective as a twin, I have major gripes with the way twins are portrayed in fiction. I'll explain what I mean as I go along and analyze every pair of twins in MLP that I know. Let me know in the comments if I missed any. As I try to answer one question: are there any cases of good twin representation in MLP? Before I dive in, while I was writing this script, I realized that a lot of MLP writers probably didn't understand the difference between identical twins and fraternal twins. So I wanted to make sure that my audience is educated. Twins are two siblings that are born from a single pregnancy, usually within a few minutes of each other. Identical twins are genetically identical, but they can still have differences like hairstyle, clothing, and even body weight. Fraternal twins are two siblings that are born at the same time. They are as genetically distinct as any other siblings, although they are the same age, meaning that they will often have a lot of shared experiences even compared with other siblings. One more thing. In this video, I'll be speaking a lot about twins generally. Unfortunately, I don't have scientific studies to cite. I'm speaking from my experience as a twin, both what I've lived with my brother and the knowledge I've collected over the years given my vested interest in understanding twins. Things like anecdotes and things I've read but can't necessarily cite off the top of my head. It could be that my experience is a weird one, and my brother and I are not normal twins in every way. If you hear me say something that you can demonstrate to be generally false with scientific data, please share, as I am always interested in learning. Okay, let's begin. G1 has a whopping 18 pairs of twins. I will say now that twins are actually rarer in horses than humans, but MLP has never been known for its accuracy to horse biology, so we're just going to move on from that point. 10 of these pairs are fraternal, and the other 8 are identical. Only 3 appear in the animated media, 2 in the original series, and 1 in MLP Tales. 2 of those pairs are identical, and 1 is fraternal. It seems like they had plenty of opportunities to sneak in some good representation for twins, but here's the catch. All 18 pairs are babies! That's just weird. That's going to be a theme in this video. Writers get weird around twins. Like, they don't fully understand that twins are real individuals and just use them as a gimmick. I suppose the point here is that they wanted to sell toys to little girls. Like, look at the newborn twins, aren't they so cute? It's not the only thing that's weird about babies in G1, what with asexual reproduction being canon. But here's the thing about twins. We grow up. There are adult twins. Admittedly, we have a higher infant mortality rate. But please, G1, you gotta throw us at least 1 or 2 pairs of adult twins so I'm not left thinking that there's some program of government-mandated twin genocide. This is so weird that I'm not going to pass a single twin pair out of the 18. It's not like babies can have much character development anyway. This is not good representation for twins. Fail. G2 has 13 pairs of twins. 11 of them are fraternal and 2 are identical. And they are all babies! Fail! In stark contrast to G1 and G2, G3 has no twins that I am aware of. I suppose that means G3 is the most accurate to horse biology in this sense. This is not bad representation of twins. However, my question was, does MLP have any good representation of twins? And obviously with no representation, the answer for G3 is no. I hold nothing against G3 in this regard, but let's move on. G4 is the first generation that tries to make twins into actual characters, by which I mean they are not all babies. So let's look at the twins of G4 individually. I will say I do not count copy and pasted background characters. I will also say this was the hardest generation to make a list for because there are so many characters, so please let me know if I missed any. The first pair of twins to appear in G4 is Aloe and Lotus Blossom, fraternal twins. I will note, I could not find any official confirmation that these two are actually twins. This may be just a fandom thing. If you know any official confirmation, be it from Gameloft, the card game, the comics, a toy box, or even a tweet from the writers, please let me know. As it stands, there's really nothing to suggest that these two are twins rather than just siblings, but I'll talk about them anyway. As twins, they're not great. They have the same cutie mark in different colors. Twins often are very similar, but they are always different somehow. And of all things, in G4,
cutie marks make you special!
So for you to get the same cutie mark as your twin, it's kind of like destiny slapping you in the face and saying, no, you're not special. You are interchangeable and replaceable. Twins having identical personalities in fiction is one of my big pet peeves, and there is very little to distinguish these two characters besides their colors, and they're not even identical twins. Fraternal twins are genetically no more similar to each other than normal siblings. These two dress the same, they work the same profession, which is not unbelievable, but I'd like to see them show somewhat different interests, specialities, or personalities. Maybe if they had more screen time, then the writers could develop some real differences between these characters, but as they stand, they are interchangeable. Fail. The next pair of twins in G4 is Pound Cake and Pumpkin Cake, fraternal twins. Oh look, more babies. Yay! I will say these twins are better distinguished from each other than any other twins so far. You can't do much character development for babies, but they do show somewhat different personalities. Pound likes to smash things and Pumpkin likes to eat things, but they both have a penchant for chaos and horror. However, I can still sense that these were designed as a toy set for little girls to play mommy with. This is a step in the right direction, but after 31 other pairs of baby twins in MLP, I'm not exactly thrilled about it. Fail. Next, we have Flim and Flam, identical twins. Once again, they have practically the same cutie mark. They do have different facial hair and even different voice actors, which isn't always a given when studios are casting identical twins. But other than that, they're pretty much indistinguishable. They sing together, they work together, they have the same personality. Viva Las Pegasus takes a swipe at giving them distinct skill sets, but it doesn't retroactively translate with previous episodes, and the only episode that arguably follows up on those distinct traits is Friendship University. But ultimately, it's a splitting hairs thing. Compare these guys with the clones in the Clone Wars. They all have the same voice actor, they're forced into the same profession, they wear the same uniform, but they're way more unique and individual than Flim and Flam. These guys are too similar to be believable. There aren't twins like this in real life, or at least they're very rare. Fail. The next twins I'd like to discuss are Pinkie Pie and Marble Pie, fraternal twins. Now, if you just watch the show, it's pretty obvious that they're twins. How else can you have siblings born just a few minutes apart? But unfortunately, there are some confusing statements from the writer, Nick Confalone, that frankly suggest that Nick just doesn't understand what twins are. When asked about Pinkie and Marble, they said, "It comes down to your definition of twins for non-humans. Marble/Pinkie, not identical twins. If they were, I'd call them twins." I'm sorry, what? Do you not know what fraternal twins are? The only interpretation of these tweets that would make a lick of sense is if ponies were litter-bearing animals like cats, where multiple siblings are regularly born at the same time, in which case fraternal twins would lose their meaning, and the only twins that would really be twins would be identical twins. However, horses are not litter-bearing animals. I know MLP is bad at horse biology, but is there anything else in all of MLP's run that implies that ponies are litter-bearing animals? No. If Nick was trying to imply that in this episode, they're the only writer in MLP history to interpret pony births in that way. The only other interpretation that could possibly make sense for sisters to be born within minutes of each other and not be twins is if they were born to different mothers, like if Pinkie Pie were adopted. That's a popular headcanon, but Nick's tweets don't sound like they're implying that at all. It sounds to me like Nick is just confused about what a twin is. This is another case of how writers can get weird around twins. But anyway, if you just watch the episode and don't check Twitter, the obvious implication is that they are twins, so I'm going to talk about them. Marble and Pinkie do have some twin energy, apparently on accident because the writer didn't think they were writing twins. The bit I really like is that Pinkie does the talking for Marble. I could see that happening with extroverted and introverted twins. Here's the thing about twins. They are the same age, so if they grow up in the same household, they usually end up doing almost everything together. They go to the same school, the same grade, the same classes, the same family activities, usually the same bedroom. So I could see Marble getting used to Pinky doing the talking for her. And now I need to talk about a myth about twins, which is that we can read each other's minds. We can't, obviously. But because we spend so much time together and we often have similar personalities, or at least we're capable of understanding each other and share a deep bond, twins can often guess what the other is thinking with accuracy that comes off as uncanny. So I could see Pinky speaking for Marble and getting it right, which would lead to Marble not needing to speak at all in situations where Pinky is around and she's feeling uncomfortable. But that leads to the elephant in the room, which is that Marble never says a single line of dialogue in the whole show, not even to her twin. There is no development for this relationship, and there is no development for this character. If they are twins, which Nick seems to think they're not, that is a gaping hole in the life of a main character of a show that ran for 9 seasons and focused on characters and relationships. Twins are often very close, and we never see Pinky and her twin converse once. Combine this with the confusion caused by Nick's tweets, and this can't count as good twin representation because it was hardly representation at all. It was off to a good start, but it was wasted potential. Fail. The next twins to feature in MLP are Barley Barrel and Pickle Barrel, fraternal twins. My complaint is that the character designers didn't seem to understand the difference between fraternal twins and identical twins. They have to be fraternal twins because identical twins cannot be different sexes. However, in every other way, they are identical. I think the character designers were a little confused here. However, they do dress and style their hair differently, which I love. They do have the same interests and similar personalities, but to be clear, that's not uncommon in twins. They just need to be different somehow, and I think these two are. Barley is the president of the fan club, and she was the first to ask Rainbow Dash if she would give them lessons. So she comes off as the more decisive of the two. They're about as distinct as Flim and Flam in a fraction of the screen time. Plus, I like how these two will talk for each other. It gives some positive sibling energy, despite the fact that they bicker all the time. So are the Barrel twins good representation? Well, they're not bad. I am somewhat bothered by how similar they look, and their personalities are quite similar as well. And we've already had a lot of young twins. I'll say they're not exactly good or bad, which technically means the answer to my original question is still no. The next twins I'd like to discuss are Cheerily and Cherry Blossom from the comics, identical twins. Cherry Blossom exists solely to tell one of the biggest twin cliches out there, which is the identical twins who swap places. I'm tired of this one. Lots of twins can't pull this off, and the reason should be immediately obvious. Cheerily is not a wrestler. They have totally different knowledge and skills. Why can't Cherry Blossom do what any wrestler without a twin would have done and called off the match because she's injured? Now, as a character, I don't mind Cherry Blossom. Her design is distinct from Cheerily's, and she lives a totally different life, but they also have some common ground. I like that. But I can't ignore the fact that she exists only to tell a tired trope. Her purpose could have been extended beyond that if she featured in any other comics, but to my knowledge she doesn't, so this is another fail. The only other twins I can think of from G4 are Tofu and Tempe, fraternal twins. Honestly, I think I read this comic, but I don't even remember them. They must have been minor characters, and if G4's best pair of twins is a pair of minor characters from the comics, something is wrong. So let's move on to G5. It looks like we had a pair of identical twins at the beginning of Make Your Mark Chapter 1, but we don't really know enough about them for me to say anything, so let's move on to our last pair of twins, Zip and Pip, fraternal twins. Wait, really? Yes, according to an early sticker book, they are twins. However, Gillian Barrow stated in a tweet that they are not twins. Ah, the familiar bells are ringing. Once again, the wording of this tweet is a little odd, as though Zip being the older sister means that they cannot be twins. There is always an older twin and a younger twin, and when it comes to succession, that difference of a couple of minutes matters. As I demonstrated previously, social media statements of writers can often be confused and contradictory, I mean, how many times have we seen writers come out and say, this is the canon ship for this character, or this is the canon sexuality for this character? If you want to make it canon, then put it in the show, I say. You'll find I'm more hesitant than other fans in counting writer statements as canon. I mean, we all know what J.K. Rowling did. And keep in mind, this is G5, where the writers seem to be incapable of keeping track of their own canon and constantly leave gaping plot holes. By contrast, in a toy brand like MLP, merch is technically canon. However, this is early in G5's run, so we'll just throw out both of these contradictory statements and look at the evidence from the show. As I've said, there's always an older and younger twin. And that's not just a technicality. I'm younger by 2 minutes, but my body hit every major milestone, each tooth, puberty, growth spurts, about 6 months after my twin. And not just physically, we exude older and younger sibling energy. Folks can almost always guess which of us is older. The fact that Zip and Pip have that older, younger energy by no means excludes them from being twins. What really convinced me is pictures where we see Philly, Zip, and Pip at the same height. If Zip really is 1 or 2 years older, then how could tiny little Pip ever catch up to her? But if they're twins, they could have started at the same height, then Zip just had one more growth spurt. They have twin energy in other ways too. They have similar names, which parents just love to give to twins. Just ask G1 and G2. They got their cutie marks at the same time. That's such a twin thing. Now, Zip could be an underachiever or Pip an overachiever, and that is pretty consistent with their adult personalities, but it's not exactly hurting my case. They moved away from home together, even though they each had different reasons. But one very specific twin thing they do is they do everything together, but they have completely different interests. Twins often diverge in personalities as they each try to find the things that make them unique from each other and carve out their own identities. Zip and Pip are rather repulsed to each other's interests, and Queen Haven even said that it wasn't always that way. That is a very twin thing. This is a great twin pair. They're distinct, but they have common ground. We get to see their relationship all the time, and it's probably the most organic relationship in all of G5. Everything about this is great except for one thing. Gillian said it's not canon. It's pretty hard to argue with their heights, though, plus the twin energy they apparently have. This may be a case where either Gillian changed their mind or different people on the crew have different visions for the same character. This wouldn't be the first time in G5. So, do I count this as good representation for twins? Maybe. We have to remember I kind of unfairly dismissed the Beryl twins. I really do like them. Between them and the Royal Pegasus sisters, depending on how you interpret canon and how I feel about the characters on a given day, there's probably at least one yes in here somewhere. MLP has at least one case of good representation for twins. But I just reviewed 40 different pairs of twins. Yikes. Hopefully now you can see some of the stereotypes that twins have to cringe through when they watch media that features supposed twins. Admittedly, on the list of groups that are stereotyped by the media, twins barely deserve a footnote. Consider this video to be that footnote. Some of the most common pitfalls include identical twins who are carbon copies and too many babies and children to too few adults. Interestingly, MLP doesn't fall into one trope I've gotten tired of, which is that almost every writer who features fraternal twins in their story makes them the opposite sex. There's a 50-50 chance that they'll be the same sex. MLP probably doesn't fall for this because there are just so many female characters, so it's more likely to have 2 girl twins. MLP seems to suffer from almost the opposite problem, where their fraternal twins are so similar sometimes, it seems like the creators didn't understand the difference. And that seems to be a common thread here, where the writers don't quite understand what twins are and how they work. Anyway, I've probably been harsher than I needed to be. They're not all good representation, but at the end of the day, I do like the Spa twins, Pinky and Marble, the Beryl twins, Cheerly and Cherry Blossom, and I love Zip and Pip. That's it. This video is too long. I'm done. Peace out.